All right, my beauties and bees. Goodness gracious. Yeah, welcome back to another installment of our Week in Weird, and we are continuing the space odyssey that we started with Cryptic Corner this morning. Because in Cryptic Corner we were discussing the Pleiadians, which are the tall, blonde, beautiful Nordic alien people. But did you know that the U.S. actually has a elite force of protectors who defend the world from alien threats, and they're actually called the Solar Wardens. But in order to understand the Solar Wardens, the first thing we need to do is talk about Gary McKinnon. So I found a pretty decent channel to break down Gary McKinnon and the Solar Wardens. This channel hasn't put anything out in a few months, but it's called the UFO Lab. I'm going to subscribe. It doesn't have a lot of subscribers, 353 subscribers, so it's a smaller channel. But they did videos for about a year. Last one was 9 months ago, and then they stopped. I don't know what's going on with it. Hopefully they come back. I kind of like their channel. Well, let's start here. Let's start with the story of Gary. Hopefully let me know if the audio is good, okay?
Was landed Gary McKinnon in the US federal prison for 70 years. What he found started off an avalanche that uncovered bits and pieces of a secret military space program called the Solar Wardens. But without getting ahead of ourselves, let's first take a look at how all of this happened. In February of 2001, McKinnon decided that he needed to know the truth behind the UFO phenomenon, and as a systems administrator, he had the tools to do so in his hands. He wrote a program to scan computers without or with very simple passwords, such as, well, passwords. He got an idea for this in 1995 when he completed his first digital breach, which was getting into Oxford University's network system. This left an imprint on young Gary as he realized that many government administrative systems didn't have passwords protecting them. This, combined with the burning desire to find out what we truly know about alien life, led him to spend 13 months digging through classified documents belonging to NASA, the US Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the DoD, which would later on turn out to be the biggest military hack of all time. This is what all of the
Yeah. Well, until Signalgate. Signalgate wasn't even a hack. They just said, "Hey, media, come in here and see our secret military plans." So
destroyed his life, which you'll find out more about later on in this video, but what all of you probably want to know is, what did he actually find?
there's everybody. Where's everybody been this morning? Good morning, everybody. Oh, thank you about my necklace. Yeah, I've had it for a while. It's become kind of my signature piece. The little spider.
Well, at first, his search was uneventful to say the least. He came across countless staff reports, department memos, and a lot of paperwork, but then something caught his attention. It was a spreadsheet on the US Navy's computer. This spreadsheet was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers, and it contained names that didn't really appear in any of his subsequent searches. This spreadsheet contained officer transfers seen between the ships, and as you could have guessed, these ships didn't appear in any registry as well. This was proof that
they were spaceships, guys.
Gary McKinnon was looking for, but soon after finding this, he found something even better. Can you guess what that was? Well, let me help you there. He found pictures. Okay, so in the NASA's UFO cover-up video I posted last week, you can see the testimony of Donna Hare, ex-government contractor.
I guess we could cover that one too if we have time. There's 2 videos by this channel that I'm going to cover, but if we have time, we'll do the NASA cover-up video as well.
That worked at the Johnson Center, but to be specific, she worked at the infamous Building 8, and she claimed that she witnessed NASA satellite pictures that showed clear UFOs before they were airbrushed out and released to the public. You see, Gary was also aware of this testimony, and he decided to take a look for himself. What he found on one particular desktop in the Building 8 were folders titled Raw, Filtered, Processed, and Unprocessed. Gary opened the folder containing unprocessed images and he tried downloading them, but the files were too big. He decided to open up one image just to take a look, and then slowly, line by line, a picture started appearing. He waited, and when most of the image appeared, he realized that he had found what he was looking for. The image he saw had a large cylinder-shaped space.
Oh, look at that. Hold on. I think I've seen that shape before. I'll be right back. I couldn't find it. I went to look. For my kazoo, but I couldn't find it. You can still hear me. Hopefully I'm not coming through on my headphone mic. That would be shitty. It'd sound like crap. No, it says USB. Okay.
Spaceship in it. He couldn't believe that he finally had proof of what he was looking for, but before he could do anything like take a screenshot, he felt that cold feeling of dread when the cursor on the screen started moving. Someone on the other end closed the image and cut the connection. That was the moment when Gary McKinnon knew he was caught. In total, he got into 97 computers, and this didn't sit well with the US government. At first, Gary was facing up to 6 months in British prison, and he didn't really mind this as he was getting a lot of public support. He was even endorsed by some of his heroes like the legendary British band Pink Floyd, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Oh, yeah, I do have a pretty good mic. I've never had any complaints about this mic, other than I don't know if its connection was bad. Ben, don't worry about Henry. He's fine. I don't mind having a puppy in the background yipping and yapping. My channel started with that.
And the Pretenders, just to name a few. However, this excitement didn't last too long, as this turned the US judicial system into a hornet's nest. They quickly turned up at Britain's doors with the extradition request for Gary McKinnon, in which he would face up to 70 years in the US federal prison. This harsh reaction wasn't usual at the time, as there were no strong regulations on cybersecurity in the early 2000s. His laptop was confiscated almost immediately and the battle for his freedom started. He was being destroyed in court hearings for years and things didn't look well. The only thing that saved him was his diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome that explained his obsessive personality. That's when Theresa May, the member of British Parliament, stepped in and used this as a reason to block his extradition. After a decade of fighting for his life, McKinnon was finally saved. I love talking about this topic because he's one of the most interesting people in this line of research, and he didn't really profit from any of this. And for those of you who are wondering where he is now, well, you can take a look for yourself because he's posting really random YouTube videos on his channel. This concludes Gary's story, but the fun just begins here. This incident just made people more curious about the secret military space program, and in the next video I'll tell you everything we know about the Solar Warden. Oh, and just to pique your imagination, there will be pictures in it, so subscribe and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss it. This has been the UFO Lab channel, and as always, I wish you good luck in your research, and don't forget that the truth is still out there. Thank you for staying with me until the end, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Alright, so that was kind of the background on Gary. Okay. So we are going to keep the train rolling, and we're going to learn about the Solar Wardens now.
The space race ended in the 70s and life started slowly going back to normal for the world. Or did it? Was this the moment that the actual Star Trek future we were promised actually began? We could just dismiss this as a conspiracy theory, right? Well, we could, only if the evidence for the secret space program wasn't as overwhelming as it is. Top secret documents.
Secret space programs, guys. Secret space programs. You know you love it.
Testimonies, diary entries from ex-presidents, and yes, the pictures of the whole thing are quite hard to push to the side. This is the UFO Lab, and I hope you're ready for this because this is a wild one. This episode is about the Solar Warden. Starting this episode without mentioning Gary McKinnon wouldn't be right. I made a video on him and I'll have it linked at the end of this video, but for
Well, I mean, that's the one we just watched, so yeah. It was kind of a preamble
those who
for that.
haven't watched it, here's a summary. In 2001, Gary McKinnon, a British hacker, decided that he couldn't wait for the release of information regarding the UFO phenomenon, and he spent the next year sifting through some of the most secure facilities in the US looking for proof of alien life. What he found weren't exactly aliens, but it was something as amazing, if not even more so. He found an Excel sheet. Not as amazing as you thought, right? You'd be wrong to think so, because the document contained lists of non-terrestrial officers and
Secret Space Force. It's a secret Space Force.
transfers in between the shifts. McKinnon didn't stop there. After finding this, his curiosity was eating him up, and that's when he started searching through NASA's computers. To be specific, he got into the Building 8
I think his first language is like a Scandinavian language. Is why he has that weird kind of inflection. I shouldn't say it's weird, but like that distinct, I guess I'll say, inflection in the way he talks.
systems, as he was aware of Donna Hare's testimony in which she stated to have seen untampered satellite photos which show clear UFOs in them. Her testimony was the reason he knew he would find the pictures he was looking for in the Building 8. Soon after getting into these computers, he found a folder that contained what he was looking for. There was one titled Unprocessed Images, and when he opened it up, he saw pictures. He tried downloading
Pictures of your mom.
the image, but it was too large, so he opened it. It was loading slowly, line by line, but after waiting for a while, he saw the image we would all love to see. He caught himself looking at a cylinder-shaped ship. The image I'm showing you right now is a recreation.
So that looks a little different than the one he showed in the last video. The last one had the little knobby parts here in the middle, right? Like up here. Now there's two of them and they're on the ends. Hmm. This is the Solar Warden ship, though.
Of what he saw. His excitement wouldn't last too long, however, as the mouse started moving and he was disconnected in seconds. That's the moment he knew he was caught. If you want to find out what happened to him, watch the video in the corner. The secret space program has been kept under wraps, but those secrets have been leaked
Secret space program, secret space dildo.
for the past 50 years. There even was a confirmed secret military space program called the Man Orbiting Laboratory, or MOL. It was so secret that even the wives of the people involved couldn't know about it. This program
Is that like the ISS predecessor, maybe?
was cancelled by the then President Richard Nixon, but as it seems to be the case more often than not, this program was just pushed deeper into the Black Ops side of operations. In 2012, a breadcrumb was leaked on the WikiLeaks website that contained information that sounds
But it sounds like maybe it was just like the concept for a space station, an orbiting space station, which we do have.
insane. I'll leave the link to the document in the description below, but as you can see, it's a report that Russia destroyed a secret US base on the moon all the way back in
Whoa. Nice. Let me see here. Reports that the UR destroyed secret US base on moon. Canonical ID. Unclassified. Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs. Congressional correspondence. Cheryl P. Walter declassified, released in 2012. This document is not an electronic document, therefore the full content is not available online. However, some metadata has been made available, which you can use for your research and FOIA purposes, such as Freedom of Information Act. Interesting documents. This is what I like to see, though. I like to see actual physical evidence in what we're talking about. So this is 1979. We had a moon base in 79. Okay. John, do you remember a moon base? When did they start talking about moon bases in the 70s? some of my older peeps in the side chat. Do you remember them talking about moon bases in the 70s? Secret moon bases? Yeah. Okay, in that poll too, I almost forgot.
1979. Something interesting to keep in mind would be that 2 years after this secret base had been destroyed, Jimmy Carter and Leon Brezhnev signed a treaty for disarmament in Vienna. This doesn't make too much sense. It's not like two governments could decide they wanted to play nice all of a sudden. What led them to make peace could be the reason for the creation of the international shield of our planet called the
Ooh, look at that. That's a cool ship. I want a cool ship like
Solar
that.
Warden. Can you guess what that was? Yeah, it was aliens. Ronald Reagan was the 40th president
Ronald Reagan was an alien, or I think Nancy Reagan was an alien, so that's why Ronald had an interest in it. That's why she was so famous for her blowjobs.
of the United States, and he's had a few interesting moments in his career regarding the issue of space. For starters, he was the person that pushed for the Strategic Defense Initiative, or as the media at the time called it, the Star Wars program. SDI would have large space platforms and smaller patrol craft in operation, which would be tasked with monitoring the solar system for presence of unauthorized alien intrusions, and if any were found, defend us.
It's funny because, like, if you look at how things actually move in space, this is not an accurate depiction, and the way that things move is so much weirder and more floatier that I wish that movies and things would actually depicted how a space battle really would be with like kinetic forces like taking their I mean kinetic forces with no oppositional forces. Think about that. That's how battles in space would go. People would be. I don't remember any moon bases, said John Hudson. Yeah. I know that Marvin the Martian wanted to blow up the Earth because it blocked his view of Venus.
Against them. This all came up to exist as Reagan was brought up to speed on the alien matter by military experts, and he was determined to keep us safe. Hold up, all this information sounds insane, right? Where are these theories coming from? Well, you'd be surprised to know, but Reagan wrote about all of this in his diaries. In 2007, HarperCollins published a book titled Reagan's Diaries, and in this book we can see what the daily life of the former president was like. It's not a regular memoir, rather it's just a list of entries Ronald Reagan kept himself. It's completely normal until we reach the page 334, where on June 11th in 1985, the president wrote this down.
Had lunch with 5 top space scientists. It was fascinating. Space truly is the last frontier, and some of the developments there in astronomy are like science fiction, except they are real.
It's
I
so
learned
funny.
that our shell
This is supposed to
capacity
be
is such that
that's supposed to be Reagan.
we could orbit 300 people.
Now, that number is really interesting, as Gary McKinnon stated that the capacity of the ships he saw were around 300 people. Still not convincing enough? Well, I have no other choice then. I have to show you the pictures. In 2007,
Oh, there's pictures, guys. We've got photographic evidence.
a British amateur astronomer, John Leonard Paulson, came up with a technique to capture clearer images of bodies in space from his home telescope. He took images in visible, infrared, and ultraviolet spectrum, and he used the clearest takes out of each of the wavelengths and combined them into a final image. His results were amazing. He took photos of the moon and the International Space Station. He even sent these photos to be reviewed, and the experts confirmed that his photos were credible and stunning at that. This is really interesting on its own, but then he started capturing images like these. He started capturing videos and photos of what he thought were stars, but it quickly turned out that these were weird looking.
How does he like know what's going on up there, but not know that that's not a star? I'm not saying that I'm not expecting that anybody knows the names of all the stars or has cataloged them all, but generally when you point a telescope into the sky and it's a certain coordinates, at this point, with a history of astronomy as it is, you kind of know what you're expecting to resolve on that in that lens, right? And if you're seeing something that's anomalous, I mean, I'm not saying that I know what these are, but it could be planes, could be satellites.
In space platform.
I mean, it's clear as he was able to resolve the ISS. I don't see any reason why he couldn't resolve satellites in space.
In magnitudes larger than the International Space Station. These platforms were massive and, even more importantly, they fit the space platforms described in the Solar Wardens project perfectly. His findings started catching some buzz, and that's when he started receiving visits from military enforcers. Not long after that, the info
black helicopter time.
Black helicopters started flying over his house, and he even shot pictures and videos of all these encounters. I'm not saying that these were British men in black, but what happened? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one new point. One interesting connection has been made recently.
Is there a UK Men in Black, or are the Men in Black just in general a global organization? I thought they were protectors of the Earth. I mean, Solar Wardens.
With the testimonies from people like Eric Hacker, electronics specialist that worked as an electrical repairman and fireman on the Polar Research Station in 2010. He recently made a connection between the Quantum Entanglement Research Station and the Solar Warden project. I mean, just listen to what he has to say.
It is a neutrino detector, for sure. It can accomplish its primary purpose. It can also transmit and then provide a multifaceted platform for directed energy weapons systems. These platforms are way more complex than that. They do a lot of things.
What else do they do?
It detects the neutrino.
Hold on. So we've got a Shackleton expedition pin. It says safe like Shackleton's. And then he's got United States, Antarctic. Can anybody else read that? Yeah, program maybe. United States Antarctic program. What that says. I can't read the bottom part though. But it's a map with the Antarctica in the middle. And then this seems to be an Antarctic Treaty badge with all the countries that are part of the Antarctic Treaty. It says Scott Sound. Something Scott Sound. Hold on. Scott Sound. Scott Base. New Zealand's only Antarctic research base. Is that sound or is it south? Maybe it's south. Scott South. Scott South Pole Station. There we go. All right, we found it. Let's see where this guy's at. Okay, so here's the base. Here's a map of Antarctica, so it's the one right there in the middle, right there. Which means it's like the South Pole Station. Okay. Well, now we know. I'm guessing that's what the rest of that patch says there. That one.
That are apparently coming off of the new exotic propulsion systems for either off-world UFOs or reverse engineered stuff on our planet, thus making it basically an air traffic control center for all non-discussed vehicles on this planet. The device is also for faster than light communications, quantum entangled communications at great distance.
Quantum entangled communications. Have you ever heard anything so nonsensical in your life? There is a neutrino detector at the South Pole running for 20 years in various forms. Neat.
In, I guess it was the late 80s or early 90s, Gary McKinnon hacked NASA, and he found the list of the off-world space.
Found the list. He checked it twice. Gonna find out who's off-world at this time. Gary is hacking NASA.
Fleet and the captains of the ships respectively. We have a fleet out there. If we have a fleet out there, we need to communicate with them.
He sees you when you're fleeting. He knows when you're above.
This is that facility.
This very well could be the communication method used to talk to our fleets in space, no matter how far away they might be. And just to tease the next video, this could be the craft they are using to patrol.
Ooh. Or is that a moth? It does kind of look like a moth, though. At least this one over here does. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the antenna and stuff, but yeah. What is this mysterious craft?
Controller system. Let me know in the comments what these craft are called if you already know. There are stories like the one of President Nixon being read on the UFO subject and even taking Jackie Gleason out to see what we had in the locker, so to speak, as well as some wacky characters claiming they have been a part of these programs. The next story might
Yeah, it sounds like you're really putting a lot of stock into these wacky characters, though.
have some merit to it, but people trying to profit from stories like these by making up fiction and selling it as a real story are the reason that this subject has been looked down upon for so long. That's why I tried to compile only the information I deemed credible. In conclusion, I'm pretty sure projects like these exist, and with the ongoing Senate hearings and whistleblowers like David Grush and Eric Hacker, among dozens of other high-profile members of the military, the reality of what is going on around us is slowly swimming up to the surface. The timing of everything
Right, isn't it? It's nice of the aliens to have the following the FFA regulations, having the flashing lights and everything. It's always convenient.
makes me question this a little bit, but it's a separate video. Times where these topics were a laughing matter are over and only one question remains. Who are they and where do they come from? And if the stories like these are true, maybe we already know. After all, let's not forget the speech President Ronald Reagan gave at the United Nations General Assembly in 1988.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
This has been the UFO
Oh, Reagan be all like, aliens are here.
Lab, and thank you for staying until the end. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, subscribe to the channel and like the videos. It helps the algorithm show these videos to more people, which would help me make more content like this in the future. I've covered the wide array of topics here, and I'd encourage you to take a look.
No, if it wasn't hypothetical. He was saying that their aliens are here, Joshua Davidson. They're here. The aliens are among us. And am I one of them? Well, that's none of your damn business now. I want to investigate that. I may be a Palladian. Or I might be one of those gray guys with like a costume on. Or it could be a reptilian. Like sometimes my eyes might turn yellow and have like split pupil. That'd be spooky. All right, I think there's one more that we wanted to do for this UFO Labs channel, and it was the NASA one. There's the black triangles. Remember the black triangles? This is the one we wanted, though. All right.
NASA's been a leader in space exploration for the past 50 years, and they claim they've been honest and truthful to us with their research, but have they really? Recently, they held a panel where they presented a scientific approach to the subject of UFOs, and, well, It was something. Their history of covering up evidence stacks up too high against them. Some of that evidence is clear on the faces of the Apollo 11 crew during the press conference NASA held when they returned from the moon. Also, there are statements of the government employees that saw pictures of UFOs before they were airbrushed out. Stay with me until the end because this is just scratching the surface. Now, let's jump in and take a look at all the extraordinary evidence of NASA's UFO cover-up that marked the 20th century. I'm sure all of you know what NASA is, but here's a quick...
So you all thought you thought I was Victoria, but I'm actually alien. I could be an alien out here observing humans. I believe there are aliens in the Antarctica. I've seen the thing.
Summary. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or in short, NASA, is an organization that was founded on July 29, 1958. They came to exist as a result of the paperclip operation, where the United States took in over 1,600 Nazi scientists after the Second World War. The leading man out of that bunch was Werner von Braun. He was put in charge of NASA and they started rapidly using the technology there.
It's kind of weird to call them. I mean, some of them were Nazi scientists, like they were actually working for the Nazi party and working for the Nazi government, but some of the scientists were just defectors, weren't they? I mean, they weren't all government people. They were just, I don't know. 1,600's a lot, though.
They acquired to propel us into space. I won't go into details here, but Germany at the time wasn't a stranger to exploring mythic and ancient knowledge that they incorporated into their technology and...
Well, it depends on which branch you're looking at. Yeah, they did have some esoteric approaches.
Their way of life, which would transfer directly to NASA.
We cannot take credit for our record advancement in certain scientific fields alone. We have been helped. And we have been helped by the people of other worlds.
NASA's UFO investigation panel was held on May 31st in 2023, and it was presented as a big step in acknowledgement that unidentified flying objects even exist. This panel started...
And they run... okay, they don't use UFO a lot anymore. They use UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. And that just means they weren't able to definitively identify what it was. It doesn't mean they don't know what it was. You'll see some of these videos, they do have the blinking lights. Some of the individual videos are literally birds that you can see their wings flapping. But since they could not definitively say, yes, this is, an albatross, or that this is flight 9973 or some shit like that, they had to catalog it as a UAP, even though it was clear that it's a plane or a bird. Since they can't definitively say this is what it is. Yeah.
Started off strong with bold statements like these.
By holding public meetings like this one, we aim for open and honest dialogue with the public. We recognize that public interest in UAPs is high and that the demand for answers is strong. Conversations like this one are the first step to reducing the stigma surrounding UAP reporting. Moreover, transparency is essential for fostering trust between NASA, the public, and the scientific community. Not only that, but our commitment to openness is in itself a reflection of NASA's commitment to scientific integrity. As an organization dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, it is NASA's responsibility to be honest and forthright and to follow the science. And by being transparent in our work, we uphold our dedication to science.
Herbie Hancock. Yeah. Somebody's been watching Tommy Boy. Herbie Hancock. Was that Tommy Boy? Or was that Black Sheep? It's like, it's Herbie. Graham Hancock is the... Yeah. He's the woo peddler.
Scientific excellence.
It was a little funny, but I was still very excited to hear what they had to say, but as you could have guessed, my hopes were crushed almost immediately as they came to a conclusion that they needed better evidence to continue researching this subject. You would think that NASA would be in the best position to provide such material, but the catch is that they won't investigate unclear footage that hasn't come from an official entity, which is still understandable. However, the footage needs to have at least one reference object such as airplanes or other military equipment. Also, they exclude all potentially classified material.
Look, yes, see the way this is flashing? And drones, oh my gosh, don't get me started on drones. Because with drones, this happened in, it was in September it started, with people in New Jersey where they were testing out commercial drones that were built on government contracts and thus were needed to be kept under wraps, right? While they're testing them. But because it was a good campaign message to get the woo-woo people to vote for Trump, one of his campaign promises was to investigate the UFOs or the UAP sightings over New Jersey, which again, I can't stress enough, was them testing out commercial drones.
So the gimbal, flare 1 and the go fast videos as well all other similar footage is just useless to them. If you want to see a full video on that exact footage, you can watch the video I made on the Pentagon's classified program for investigating UFOs that gave us those videos in the first place. I'll have it linked.
Yeah, we've gone over those ad nauseum. I went over those with Paul Kamish. Yeah, way back in 2021. And then we had, there we go. I'm gonna pull it up here. Okay, so that was, yeah. Oh, it's set to private now. Okay.
On the end screen of this video, but to sum this panel up, they didn't really find anything of substance, and until better footage arises, that will simply be it. This sounds really funny when we consider what Donna Hare said almost 20 years ago. Donna Hare is a former US government contractor that possessed the highest security clearance, or so she thought. She worked
Doom, doom, doom.
Worked for NASA in the 70s as a designer and illustrator, and she was put in charge of making maps for lunar landings. While visiting the photo lab in the now infamous Building A, Donna was shown a mosaic photo of the moon by a worker there, and he pointed her to look at a round white dot in the picture. Take a look at what she had to say.
And I said, this is really interesting. He explained everything, and then he, with a smile on his face, he said, look over there. And I looked, and in one of the photo panels, I saw a round white dot.
Not a dot.
And at the time, it was very crisp, very sharp lines on it. And I said to him, what is that? Is that a dot on the emulsion? And then he's grinning, and he says, dots on the emulsion don't leave round shadows on the ground. And there was a round shadow at the right angle, at the correct angle. But I looked at him, and I was pretty startled because I'd worked out there several years and never seen anything like this, never heard of anything like this. And I said, is this a UFO? And he's smiling at me, and he says, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. What I knew he meant was it was, but he couldn't tell me. So I said, what are you going to do with this information? And he said, well, we always have to airbrush them out before we sell them to the public.
She wasn't the only person with
conspiracy, we're airbrushing out the UFOs.
this exact story, however. Sergeant Carl Wolf had a top secret security clearance as well, and in the 60s he worked briefly in the Lunar Orbiter project for NASA. He was tasked with repairing a malfunctioning piece of equipment used to transfer photographs from the Lunar Orbiter. His testimony is one of the most credible out there, and it's really interesting to me how not many people really talk about it. Take a look at his statement.
My name is Carl Wolf, and I was a precision electronics photographic repairman with a top secret crypto clearance in the United States Air Force. I was stationed at Langley.
Crypto clearance. I want to, like, when I start selling my stuff for cheaper, my merch, I'll call it the crypto clearance.
The Air Force Base in Virginia. In 1965, in mid-1965, I was loaned to the Lunar Orbiter Project at NASA on Langley Field. Dr. Colley was in charge of that project. They had problems with a
DK's Dunning-Kruger.
piece of electronic equipment that was bottlenecking their production of photographs. I went to the facility, and when I walked into the facility, there were scientists from all over the world. I was stunned, actually, to see people at a NASA project
humanoid flap, I got it.
from all over the world. It didn't make any sense.
Here's the humanoid flap with my Cryptic Corner boobies. Get Cryptic Corner t-shirts and tank tops, and you can have Cryptic Corner boobies too, with Mothman on your back. Check that out. Got the Mothman. Pretty sweet, huh?
To me initially. I was taken into the laboratory where the equipment was malfunctioning. I couldn't repair it in the dark. I asked to have it removed. A Airman Second Class was in the dark room at that time. I was also an Airman Second Class. I
just watched it back and you couldn't even see Mothman. Let me pull my hair out of the way so you can see it better. Sorry. Actually, we'll do this. Mothman, can you see it now? Okay. Mothman, Mothman. Do, 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 do. And then Cryptic Corner on the front. Yeah.
Interested how the whole process functioned, how the data got from the lunar orbiter to the laboratory. I asked the young man if he described the process to me. He did. About 30 minutes into the process, he said to me, in a very distressed way, by the way, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And then he proceeded to put photographs down in front of me, and clearly in these photographs were structures, mushroom-shaped buildings, spherical buildings, and towers. And at that point, I was very concerned because I knew we were working on compartmentalized security. He had breached security, and I was actually frightened at that moment.
To enhance your profile, purchase that shirt. Yeah. Everybody do the humanoid flap.
And I did not question him any further. And a few moments later, someone did come into the room. I worked there for 3 more days, and I remember going home and naively thinking, I can't wait to hear about this on the evening news. And here it is, more than 30 years later, and I hope we hear about it tonight. And I will testify under oath before Congress that what I'm saying is...
DK for Donkey Kong.
This was footage from the UFO Disclosure Project press conference in Washington, D.C. that took place in May of 2001. This conference was attended by over 400 high-ranking former military intelligence, government, aviation, corporate, and scientific official witnesses that testified before Congress about their experiences, proving there to be both secret black projects involving highly advanced alien technology and extraterrestrial.
Why would a highly advanced ship be all like tiled like that? That'd be weird. Maybe there's something I don't understand about the alien technology though.
Visitations. If you want to see a full video on this topic, subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments below. People talking about these topics on Earth is one thing, however, no matter how amazing their evidence is. But there is a very small group of people who have been in the best position to find the truth out, and that would be the Apollo astronauts.
Oh, now we're going to get into like, oh, here's what Buzz
One of the biggest
Aldrin
achievements
said.
in human history was man's first step on the surface of the moon. It all started on July 16th in 1969 when the Apollo 11 crew took off from Cape Kennedy on a journey that would change the world as we knew it. Whole world
Go
stopped as
Apollo crew!
awaited their return, and you would expect after accomplishing such a great feat for humanity, they would at least have smiles on their faces, right? Well, I'll have a link to the full video in the description below, but these are some of the more disturbing comments they made.
I believe that what this country set out to do was something that was going to be done sooner or later, whether we set a specific goal or not.
Yeah, it's like hard to parse the people who think the moon landing is fake, and then there's people that think that the moon landing was just like the tip of the iceberg, and we have like cities on the moon and stuff. So it takes all kinds.
I believe that from the early space flights, we demonstrated a potential to carry out this type of a mission. And again, it was a question of time until this would be accomplished.
Oh yeah, where Buzz Aldrin punches that guy for accusing him of faking the moon landing.
I just see it as a beginning. Not just this flight, but in this program, which has really been a very short piece of human history. An instant in history, the entire program. It's a beginning of a new age.
These men don't look like people who just accomplished the biggest feat in human history.
How would you look if you just went into to the moon and came back? I don't feel like there's any expectation of any human behavior.
This all comes into play when we remember the code word for alien spacecraft on the moon, which was Santa Claus, and as you'll soon hear, well, just to put it in Apollo 8's crew's words, Santa Claus is real.
Houston, Apollo 8, over. Hello, Apollo 8. Live clear. Roger. Please be informed there is a Santa Claus. You the best ones to know.
Going back to the Apollo 11 mission, there was a 3-minute long loss in communication, or was there really? Rumors immediately started spreading to NASA's command center. The rumors were that the Apollo crew had a visual on alien craft watching them. This is very interesting as many...
Well, space is not real, Sumami, so they're supposed to look like invisible. They look tired, yeah.
Ham radio operators around the world recorded a transcript of what they were talking about in those 3 missing minutes. If this is real, Apollo 11's crew's faces look somber for a reason.
What was it? What the hell was it? That's all I want to know. What's it? Mission Control calling Apollo 11. These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you there are other spacecraft out there, lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon watching us.
This transmission is very hardly verifiable, but if anyone watching this has a real copy of it, please send it to me as I'll be immeasurably thankful.
Yeah, I mean, I could record myself saying shit like that and distort it all messed up and be like, oh, this is official NASA stuff too. Would you believe it if I did that? I wouldn't want you to believe it, and why should I believe this? If you show me like official file documents on it or something, maybe, but not just
for it. Now, astronauts witnessing UFOs in space, and especially on the moon back in the day, has become a regular occurrence, but according to people like Donna Hare, they were silenced with NDAs and threats to their pension funds.
And then some that wanted to talk were threatened. If they talk, they've signed papers not to talk, they have their retirements taken away. I was just overwhelmed with that piece of information because I started asking questions. This particular man was in quarantine with them and was part of their debriefing. He said that a lot of them talked about their experience in seeing these craft follow them. I believe there was 3 on the moon when they landed. And I think, and this is the best of my memory, that the code word was Santa Claus.
It is truly sad that such information would be hidden from the public, and this very well may be the reason for the faces on the Apollo 11's crew.
What are they supposed to look like? I'm serious about that. What is the Apollo 11 crew supposed to look like when they get back?
One funny detail is that since then, all original moon landing tapes have been lost, which makes you rethink how much do we really know about NASA and how much can we trust them. With that said, statements like
Oh, you can't trust NASA.
these are kind of funny to me.
As an organization dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, it is NASA's responsibility to be honest and forthright and to follow the science. And by being transparent in our work, we uphold our dedication to scientific excellence.
We have all seen how NASA cuts the feed from the International Space Station whenever a UFO comes into view, and how they always dismiss any
When
potential
has a
video
UFO ever come into view on the NASA feed? What are you even talking about? Evidence.
As debris, flares in lenses, or some other normal phenomena without much consideration. Luckily for us, there are people like astronaut Edgar D. Mitchell, lunar module pilot of the Apollo 14 lunar landing mission, best known for typing in 80 lines of code to save the entire Apollo 14 mission as it descended to the moon in 1971. He also claimed that top military officials had hidden evidence of potentially alien spacecraft. This man spent his whole life trying to push humanity forward, but he was shunned from the scientific community for the statements he made. And of course, let's not forget the story of the British hacker, Gary McKinnon, a man that is...
Gary McKinnon has to come back. Didn't they start the video with Gary McKinnon? No.
responsible for the biggest digital...
Oh, this is the lead into the Gary McKinnon episode, which come up next.
military breach of all time, in which he searched for evidence of UFOs on all unprotected computers he could find. What he saw were documents and pictures connected to a whole secret space program called the Solar Warden. These stories are just scratches on the surface of the UFO mystery NASA has been diligently covering up for decades.
Gary McKinnon, it's who we started this segment on. He was the hacker.
So, let me ask you again. Do you really believe they've been honest and truthful with their research with us? Well, I'll let you decide. Gary McKinnon video is coming up soon, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell.
So, yeah, UFO Labs. Gary McKinnon. Like I said, they don't actually have that many videos. You got Pentagon whistleblowers, Pentagon UFO footage, NASA cover-up, Gary's story, Solar Wardens, Black Triangles, Antarctica, which is, I imagine, Operation High Jump. Then you got David Grush and Shadow Government. Yeah, so they haven't put anything out since. I don't know, the channel's kind of small. Have you been to Rocket Buster Boots in El Paso? Most epic cowboy boots in the galaxy. Just wish I had a few thousand to buy a pair. Yeah, I have not been. All right. Oh, you don't know who Ryan Gosling is, Brian? He played Ken in the Barbie movie. All right, so yeah, this has been an alien-heavy episode, but what do you think about the Solar Wardens? Do you think that there was a space station commission before ISS or independent from the ISS program that circles the Earth and protects us from alien threats? Do you think there are secret moon bases? What type of military operations are happening in space? Yeah. All right. Yeah, and I want to hear your opinions on it. I want to know what you think. What do you think of these alleged alien invaders? Why is my hair a mess? Do I own a comb? Let me know in the comments down below. All right. Please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time.